All right, it's story time. So in this video, I'm going to be telling the story about how I failed my first lead climbing test. But before I get into that story, I want to first explain what lead climbing is to all the people out there who are new to climbing, and to all the people out there who have no interest in climbing themselves but still want to hear about how I failed my test. Welcome, all of you. So when you go to a rock climbing gym, there are two types of rope climbing that are available to you. One is top roping and the other one is lead climbing. With top roping, the rope is already included with the route and is attached to a fixed point at the top of the route called an anchor. On one side of the rope is a climber, obviously, and then on the other side of the rope is someone called a belayer, or someone who's in charge of making sure that the rope stays taut pretty much the entire time, so that at any point if the climber lets go of the wall or falls or whatever, the climber will essentially stay in the same spot. So with top roping, the climber can have pretty much any level of experience. They can do it even if it's their very first time climbing. The belayer, however, has to be certified and they have to be tested to know that they know how to tie the knots, that they know proper belay technique, that they're just a responsible individual, etc., etc. Lead climbing, however, is a completely different ball game. Instead of the rope being attached to a fixed point at the top of the route, it's instead attached to the climber who brings it up with them as they climb. As the climber goes up, they clip the rope into these carabiners that are set along the entire route called quick draws. Each time that the climber clips their rope into a higher and higher quick draw, the highest quick draw serves as the temporary anchor point. So if a climber falls at any point, they'll fall until the rope becomes taut on the last clip that they made. As you can probably guess, this makes lead climbing a bit more dangerous and more technical than top roping. Nice, good job. That was fun, she says.
You fell, right? So you fell 1, 2, 3, 4 draws. So if you are not to the fourth draw, you are hitting the ground if she's belaying you. Something to be aware of, okay? Cool. Right, you can lower yourself.
Dang, good job, Jess.
This is also why I recommend wearing shoes, right? Good job.
Yeah, point taken. And so it makes sense that the testing for lead climbing is a lot more thorough as well. Instead of just having to be certified as a lead belayer, you also have to be certified as a lead climber. So I'll be honest, around that time I actually didn't know very much about lead climbing, just because for the most part I was a boulderer and would only do rope climbing with Jess about once or twice a month when I would go to cliffs. But when she told me that she wanted to do the lead climbing clinic that was being offered at cliffs, I decided that that would probably be my best chance at learning, because Shahan was just completely 100% bouldering and he didn't have any intention of doing any rope climbing. And I knew that to do the lead test you needed to have 2 people, so I figured I would just learn with Jess, and so that we'd be able to take the test together. Before we even decided to take this class, Jess is the type of person who wanted to make sure that we were able to climb at a level that was higher than what was recommended for the lead climbing test. So basically, at least for Touchstone, the test would be done on a 10B, and so she wanted to make sure that we were able to comfortably climb 10C, 10D. I don't remember the exact grade, but this was so that by the time we were taking the test, the actual climbing part of the test wouldn't be something that we would worry about too much. And because of this, during the lead climbing class, we were able to focus on learning how to clip properly, how to clip with both hands, where to put our feet, how to lead belay properly, how to make sure you're not giving too much slack, but just enough, and all that good stuff. And then, of course, we had to learn what I still feel like was the craziest part of the lead climbing class and test, which is taking a lead fall.
You okay?
Yeah. During the class, they allow you to practice that fall on purpose. Only under instructor supervision are you allowed to actually practice a legitimate lead fall before taking your lead test. I mean, there's just something about falling from a height that could kill you and doing so purposefully. That's just so much more frightening than doing it on accident, because it's like the entire time that you're climbing up, you're just thinking about that moment. You're just like, okay, I'm gonna let go, I'm gonna have to let go, and I'm gonna have to fall. I'm 5 holds from letting go. I'm 4 holds away from having to let go. I'm 3 holds away from having to let go. It's like the most stressful thing you could ever do, but you have to do it for your lead climbing test. So Jess and I planned a trip to San Francisco. We wanted to climb at the touchstone locations that were in San Francisco just because we had never been before. So we wanted to do Dogpatch Boulders and we wanted to do Mission Cliffs. I think it was pretty much a climbing centered trip. So we get to San Francisco, we climb at Dogpatch first, that was fun. And then we get to Mission Cliffs and we walk in and ask to take the lead climbing test. Now, we were extremely enthusiastic when we got there. We felt very confident about our climbing ability, and you know, we had practiced enough times during the 2 days of the lead climbing class to feel confident with clipping and technique and all that good stuff too. So honestly, we went in there thinking that we were gonna pass the test. Like we were just super confident. The first sign that things might not go our way was how, you know, the people at the front desk weren't exactly sure if anyone would be able to test us that day.
Just wondering if we'd be able to take a lead climbing test today at all. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. We're gonna use the restroom.
So we go in and we're just looking at this place, and they were setting in this like little alcove area that day.
Doing construction all in this area. Wah, wah, wah.
And so Jess and I went over to, you know, the area that wasn't being worked on. All right, so Jess and I have our test scheduled for 10:30 because that's when the next instructor, trainer, person, or whatever can test us. So we're kind of just scoping out the routes to see what they probably will test us on. And we're gonna warm up on a 10B or something, this purple 10B behind us, just to climb and get our nerves out and, you know, and just climb. So yeah, see ya. We'll let you know what happens later. We didn't want to tire ourselves out by climbing too much, and we felt confident that we would be able to climb a 10B without too much of a warm-up because it was just a 10B. Like a 10B was something that we would warm up on or climb at the beginning of our climb, so we didn't think it was too big a deal to, you know, warm up thoroughly, which is something that also might have played into, you know, how well we did on our test. So Jess and I did a practice route. We just climbed a 10A just to warm up and, you know, feel better about climbing, and I think we're gonna do pretty great. Like, we know what we're doing and I'm not too concerned about the technical aspect. We know everything that we have to do. So we're gonna take the test in about 20-30 minutes. So yeah, just resting and chilling until then. How do you feel? How do you feel? Tell them how you feel.
I'm just kidding. I'm excited. Excited and not nervous at all. I'm nervous. Very nervous. So this is the goal today, to get our lead climbing card. We already have this one. So we're trying to get that one. Jess brought her rope walking thing. She's so embarrassing. Like, I can't go anywhere. Everyone's looking at us.
On my back down the street.
Like, what? How did you even fit this in your backpack? No wonder it's so heavy. There's nobody.
So we're just sitting, waiting around, and there's a group of older climbers nearby. When I say older, I mean like 60s, 70s. And there were like 6 of them. And they were climbing and they were having a good time, and they seemed like they were really confident and knew what they were doing, and it was fun watching them. And then they asked us, you know, because we were just sitting around, and they were just like, oh, are you girls gonna lead climb? Because we had Jess's rope with us. And we said, yeah, actually, we're gonna be taking our lead climbing test today. And they were like, oh, you're gonna be taking your lead climbing test, okay. And they were also the type of people who knew everyone who worked there. Like, they were obviously regulars, but then they were like, oh, actually though, the wall that they usually do the lead climbing tests on is being worked on today. They're putting new sets on that wall.
Even though they're doing construction and thingy. They're doing a bunch of construction.
And we were like, oh, okay, don't know what that means. And they were like, yeah, but that's okay. They'll probably just find another problem for you that's around the same grade. And we were like, okay, yeah, cool, thanks. So they were nearby. We waited, and then finally the instructor that was supposed to test us came. And we're really excited and now extremely nervous. And he's like, hi ladies, did you take the lead climbing class already? And you know, still excited. We were like, yep, we did. We took it and finished yesterday or something. We had finished it like within a couple days, or even the day before that we went to go take the test. And then he looks at us and he goes, you finished it when? Yesterday? And we said, yeah, we finished it yesterday. And in my head, I thought, you know, yeah, we finished it really recently, which is a good thing, right? Because it's like fresh in our minds, like we had practice very recently. And then he goes, you know, I don't usually test people who have just finished taking the class. And we were just like, oh, why? And he goes, usually when I do a class with people, I have them do mock leading for at least like a week, maybe even 2 weeks before they come to test, so that they're really comfortable with, you know, leading. So mock leading is when you have a climber with 2 belayers. One of the belayers is attached to the top rope, which is also connected to the climber, and that acts as a backup system, while the other person has the lead climbing setup on them, and then the climber also has the lead rope attached to them as well. This allows the climber to practice lead climbing by having to clip into the quick draws, and allows the lead belayer to practice lead belaying. But it's called a mock because the top rope belayer is the backup, so there's no actual danger in case the climber falls or whatnot. This takes 3 people. And when Jess and I usually climb at the gym together, there's only the 2 of us. There's no, like, we never intended to practice with mock leading. We just thought that if we took the test close enough to the, you know, the class, that we'd be prepared and have everything fresh, and then we could just practice lead climbing. It wasn't something that we thought about, to be completely honest. So when he told us that, we were just kind of like, well, we're here now. And he said, okay, well, I guess since you're here, we can do this test. And so he's like, okay, so we're gonna do this 10C over here. And so he points at this 10C that is overhung, right? I just remember when he pointed at it, I was like, see? And he was like, yeah, we're gonna go on this 10C, decide who wants to climb first, and go ahead and, you know, tie in. And Jess and I look at each other like, okay, who wants to go first? And at this point, the group of the older people that we had met earlier, they're watching us and, you know, cheering us on. And one even offered to record for us.
Well, I'm not going to hold on to it. You do it. You offered it.
Oh,
Didn't you?
I'm gonna hold it.
You can do whatever you want.
See how, you know, tight the clips are together and stuff like that. So you're doing great. Yeah, so do what you were taught and you should be fine.
Okay.
I'm gonna change my profession after this.
Never too late.
You're a natural.
Follow your dreams.
So we decide that Jess is gonna climb first, and she does this climb, and things are going fine.
There was a draw. It's funny. There was a new draw sitting around yesterday. Maybe it was intended for that spot. I wonder if the draw that was there was bad or something. Yeah, it might have been. It might have gotten taken down without being placed. Well.
Looking at it, it doesn't seem like it's very difficult. The holds look very good. I think the one thing that freaked us out the most was that the top was overhung. And to be fair, he didn't want us to climb all the way to the top. I think he said to climb to like the 5th or so clip. Okay, so I actually counted the quick draws now that I'm editing. And he wanted us to clip into the 6th quick draw, climb to the 7th one, and then take our lead fall from the 7th one. So clip this one and fall from this one. So I was like, okay, that's pretty scary, but you know, we wanted to do this, so I guess we have to do this. And it would have been fine if not for this one move.
Like Orion said to stand.
It's always in a state park.
Yeah.
You can walk in.
Yeah. No, we had to pay.
You have to reserve.
There's this really juggy looking hold that you have to go for, but it's like kind of above and like starting to be like not behind you, but it's starting to go above you. And Jess couldn't reach it.
Place to learn about.
Yeah, grab.
Exactly. I got paid for the whole time. Like, it's awesome.
That's like no downside.
There was no downside, and I met a really cool girl. I'm going to hang out with her later today. She lives in second.
Go straight up now. Right hand up.
She does a lot of
No.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said.
And I remember watching her try to reach it, and I was like, oh no, Jess is taller than me and her reach is longer than mine is, and if she can't reach this, then I can't reach it for sure, because yeah, her climbing style is a lot more static and controlled, I think, than mine is, and I'm more into the dynamic style. But still, I felt like, I don't know how comfortable I would be doing like a really dynamic move that high up on an overhang. I don't know. I just remember looking at her like, oh my gosh, this isn't good. And so everyone was cheering her on and she couldn't get the hold, and then she says, take.
Come on. Come on. Come on. Ref. Shake it up.
I start to take the rope, but the instructor, who is backup belaying me, says, no, don't take. And I was just like, what do I do? Like, she wants me to take, but I can't take because the instructor is telling me not to. He's like, nope, if she falls, she falls. Don't take the rope.
No, you fall.
Go straight up. Go straight up with your right hand.
Go straight up with your right hand. Ah!
And I was just like, oh, no. So she ends up having, to take her lead fall, but she doesn't make it to the clip that he told us to get to before taking the fall. And so we don't know what that means yet, right? He doesn't tell us what that means. He just says, okay, now switch places. And I'm the climber and then Jess is the belayer. So I start climbing. And like I said, the holds are really good. It feels fine. Until I approached the part that Jess got to. Even as I'm watching the video now, when I look at it, I think like, no, you could totally jump for that. Like, why don't you jump for that? But the angle that the camera is showing the climb is much different than what it looks like when you're up there. And you can kind of see it when it's from like this different angle, like how much it's actually overhung at that point. So if I had jumped and tried to catch the jug, I would have to be like kind of leaning. Yeah, I kind of semi did a dyno, or tried to at least. And that was it. When the instructor talked to us afterwards, he was like, all right, well, first of all, you didn't pass. And we were like, yeah, okay, figured. And he said, the belaying, like at least on my part, what I had done was that when I was belaying and just started getting to the overhang part, I started backing up because I wanted to keep an eye on her. So I started backing up, and he was like, you know, you don't have to back up that much just to keep an eye on her. If she gets to a point where you can't see her anymore, all you have to do is step forward and then keep an eye on the rope and make sure the rope is at, you know, the proper J form that it should be at all times. Like, even if you don't see her, if you see the rope changing, that's your cue to either give more slack or take more slack. And I was like, okay, yeah, fair enough. And then I don't remember what else. I mean, obviously we weren't able to finish like to the point where he told us to get to for the climbing portion. I don't remember what he said really about anything else. And I think it was the next week, like after we got back home and the soonest we could go to Cliffs, we went to Cliffs and we took the test there again. And it was just a completely different story. The test there was the same 10B route that we were practicing when we were doing the lead climbing class.
I'll be sending for you guys all this backup boys or whatever. So you guys should be close.
We passed, both of us passed in like 3 or 4 minutes. My throat hurts from talking so much. It was definitely something that I didn't know if I was gonna share, but I guess 2 years later, you know, scars heal and you're just less embarrassed about these kinds of things. So yeah, thanks for watching and I will see you